Welcome back to another episode of Cobra Kai Companion, and I am Peter. And you guys, we have another interview today, coming out of episodes 1 and 2 of season 5. We have Elvia Hill, who plays Maria. How you doing, Elvia?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad we finally were able to find a schedule that works for the both of us.
Yeah.
And you look great. I see the lighting and all that. So, how you been? How you been? The season has been out as of today for a month now. What has the reception of Cobra Kai been like for you, being a new cast member?
It's been really nice. Cobra Kai has some really awesome, avid, loyal fans, and they've been so nice and so sweet. And a lot of them reach out and say how fantastic the first two episodes came out, and it's nice.
Yeah, it's really unique because like the characters Johnny and Daniel have been around for decades, and so it's always interesting to kind of see like new characters and new storylines and how they kind of play a part of it. So we will definitely get into that, but we definitely want to learn about you yourself. Um, kind of growing up, you come from Puerto Rican background, and you guys got to film there as well, so that's really exciting. But kind of growing up, were you ever into like theater? I understand you dance and sing as well.
Mhm.
Is acting something that you kind of wanted to do ever since you were younger?
I think yes and no. So I really didn't know that you could do this as like a full job. Like I saw actors and stuff and I saw movies, but I guess I never processed that you can actually become an actor. I always loved to sing. So since I was little, I've been singing. I would do talent shows, and that's really what I love to do. It wasn't until I started high school that I got into musical theater and I did a couple of plays at school that I really started to really enjoy theater itself.
So you do like some of the acting classes in high school?
I did. I took a theater class my junior and senior year of high school, and then I did Grease, the musical, in high school, and I really loved that. So it was fun.
Did you grow up enjoying the movie? Was that a thing for you?
I did. I actually really loved watching it on TV. So every time it came on, I watched it, and so it was fun
Um,
to actually be part of that.
yeah, I bring that up because sadly we just lost Olivia Newton-John maybe a couple months ago, I think it was. Yeah, so my sisters, they're bigger fans of Grease, and my youngest sister, she was actually named after Olivia Newton-John. Her name's Olivia, which she does not like. I I well, I think the her older sister, because they're both younger than me. I think the other sister like always called her Oliver growing up, and I think maybe that's why she hates it. She prefers to go by Liv.
Okay, I know
So
a
it's
couple of that name.
Yeah, so it's not like, something completely different, but I'm the only one that still calls her Olivia, and she has said she doesn't like it, but she hasn't like completely stopped me from it too. Probably because I'm, big brother. So what are you gonna do? Yeah, so singing and dancing, what were some of your inspirations in terms of music?
So I grew up with a lot of Latino music. I had Olga Tañón. She sings merengue and La India. And then I also grew up with Selena. JLo came out with Selena when I was younger, and I was obsessed with her music. Um, so yeah. And then as far as English music, I love the Spice Girls and the Backstreet Boys. I was a huge fan of both of
Here, right here. We might be around the same age group here. To become one is one of my go-tos. Not gonna
them. Love
lie.
that video.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's, sang by women, but it's not that d difficult of a song for a guy to sing, but honestly, it's one of those songs that if you put on in a karaoke room, everybody sings along. And yeah, I think it's a beautiful song. Spice Girls were huge in middle school for me. Well into high school, but by then I was more of an NSYNC guy, and
Oh, don't tell me that.
I look, I gets down with some Backstreet Boys for sure. They have a bigger catalog, obviously, because they didn't break up as early as NSYNC did. Um, and I I think well, NSYNC for me because I had a group of guys that I would go karaoke with, and we called ourselves Asian Sync. So you get it. But we're not like the best of singers, but we have fun and we have like our go-tos, NSYNC, Backstreet, what else were some of the 98 Degrees, Invisible Band.
Yeah,
Um
that was big.
and one of my friends, he just loves Enrique Iglesias, so he'd always sing like, Hero and wow, gosh, what were some of the other see, some of the songs are trying to, blend it together. I was about to say a title, but, like, no, wait, that's 98 Degrees because they also say, "Give me just one night," right? "Give me
Oh,
just one night."
wait, yeah. Now I know what you're talking about. I just can't think of it, like
Right,
the
right.
song.
It's one of their later ones for sure, 98 Degrees, but yeah, I think they were pretty good too. I don't know, I don't think they got as obviously,
That's big.
yeah, they didn't get as big. They got plenty of love, absolutely. But yeah, just when you have like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC also on radio, it's kind of difficult. Um, Now, at one point, did you decide to get into acting?
Um, so I started acting professionally in 2018. That's probably when I got my first paying gig. Um, and I did it because, I was like, why not? Life is short. Let's do it. And so I started doing a lot of commercial work then. But then I got braces. And then right as soon as I took them off in March, we entered quarantine
Oh,
for COVID 2019. And I didn't act for a year. Um, so yeah, but it was officially 2018.
what were you doing before then? If you don't mind me asking.
I was a stay-at-home mom, and then before then, I was doing like regular jobs. Like I worked in a law firm.
Interesting. I recently heard an interview of this young lady. Well, maybe she's not so young, but she was a child actor. It took a huge break from acting because she became a mother. And why she got back in is because she said, "How could I tell my son to chase his dreams if I don't myself?" So that it sounds like that's why you decided to kind of pursue that. So that's really awesome. One of your earlier credits, and this is really cool because there's a few different ties here. One of your earlier credits was Bad Boys, and I just love the photobomb on your Instagram, Joe Pantoliano, and I don't know the other gal in there, but Rose Bianco was also in Bad Boys. Can you share your experience of filming on Bad Boys?
That was actually, and I don't talk about it often just because I was a featured background, but it was the first time I was on a set of a big professional studio job, and I got to experience that. And it was very long hours. We were working at night, but I did get to meet Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, and they were fantastic on set. And it was a really good experience. I'm actually friends with a lot of the actors that were there with me. We worked as police officers, um, and a lot of them have gone to do really big things.
Yeah, one of the stunt performers from Cobra Kai was had a sequence as well. Giselle something. I forget her last name, but I think she was the one that gets thrown into like a what was it, like a dryer or something, or I kind of forget. It's been a while.
Oh,
It was yeah, it was kind of it was a violent sequence. I do kind of remember that. Kind of shocking. What were some of your earlier memories of like Will Smith and Martin Lawrence from your childhood or growing up?
I was obsessed with Fresh Prince back in the day, and Martin the show with Shanae. I
You
just
go,
thought they
girl.
were hilarious and funny comedic geniuses. So I really have fond memories of watching them after school, going home and watching their shows.
Yeah, I was a bigger fan of the Fresh Prince. My mom actually says that I remind her of Will Smith from the Fresh Prince, and Yeah, so I mean, I think he was a big influence, like there's those memes where it's like, describe yourself in three characters, and I would always say like Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like I feel I get into a lot of trouble, but also like have like an ear for music. Like I love music, and also Will Smith from Fresh Prince and Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. So kind of some troublemakers there, I feel, but I mean. But I think if you ask my friends, they'll be like, "Yeah, that's totally it." So, yeah, that must have been really big. Rose Bianco, for those that like, oh, that name sounds familiar. She plays Yaya, from Cobra Kai. She shared a sequence with the Martin Lawrence as well, so that was exciting. At what point did you meet Rose? Because I feel, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are currently working on a project together.
Yeah, we just wrapped up a feature in Orlando last month, and that's where I officially met her. And then we were talking, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in Cobra Kai. It's coming out." And she's like, "I'm in Cobra Kai." So it felt like a full circle moment. And then we started talking about the things we were in, and she said Bad Boys, and I said I was also in that, and we realized we were in a few things together. She's so sweet. I love her.
Yeah, she really is. I mean, I think you saw the picture of her and I in Atlanta, maybe, but yeah, I went.
A lot
Uh,
of people. You get out there.
I do. I gets around. I think is the expression. But I was down there for the Dragon Con in Atlanta, and I was fortunate enough to visit the set. And while down there, I go, you know what? I've interviewed a lot of the local actors, and so I just said, hey, let's do a companion meetup. And Rose, she wasn't able to make it until the very end, but she really wanted to come to meet us. And so it was really sweet. So we got to, speak with her, and so, yeah, she did not have to, but she made the trip out there just to say hello in person. So very, very sweet. She's been very gracious with her time coming on as well. So you mentioned the pandemic that kind of put like a stop to a lot of people, right? And um, I would imagine getting the role of Maria for Cobra Kai was a self-tape. I feel that's probably the new way of doing things now. Uh, can you kind of talk about like how did you come across this role?
So my agent sent me an email saying that I had an audition for this role. It was very secretive. The name of the name they had for it wasn't even Cobra Kai. I didn't know I was auditioning for Cobra Kai. They give you some sides. They're very brief. So I did the audition. I submitted a couple of takes, and I sent it off. And I didn't hear about it for weeks. And I was actually in dance class when my agent called me, and then she told me, she's like, the project that you auditioned for was Cobra Kai, and they would like to book you, and you have to be in Atlanta the next day. So that night I packed up and I left in the morning, and it happened so quick. Like there was a long waiting period, and then it was hurry up and go.
That's what we hear. That seems to be a very common story. Like they're like, "Oh, I guess I didn't get it, so I'll go do something else." I'm like, "What? I got to be there tomorrow." Okay. So that's the story we always hear. It's really interesting, and I wonder why that is. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it's just
There's
like,
so many things that happen during production and pre-production that sometimes we get left to the very end.
yeah, I hope it's not a thing where like, well, we'll just see who can make it the next day. You know, so something like that. It's wild to me. Um, And so maybe I should get an agent so I can get. I keep trying to put it out into the internet, like, hey, look, if you guys need like a mailman, because I am one, I was like, I'll do it for free just to walk in the background, whatever, make it look
you
legit.
probably you could probably
Huh?
end up getting that somehow as background.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, but I know there's a lot of like other, shiny YouTubers that that probably fit the world a little bit more in terms of age, but we'll see. I'll cross my fingers. Um, So we know that you guys filmed in Puerto Rico and Atlanta. And what were can you kind of just talk about like when you was it Atlanta first, right? Was where you filmed first?
I think we filmed in September. of 2021. Am I wrong?
Yes, no, that's correct. Yeah, because they filmed season 4 early in the year, season
Yeah.
5 later in the year. Yeah, in 2021. And so Steven, I believe filmed the Atlanta sequences, the director. Can you talk about kind of like what it was on your first day and kind of leading up to it? I mean, you finally find out that it's Cobra Kai and you
Yeah.
fly over in such short notice. Did you were you already aware of Cobra Kai and had you already watched the show by then?
Yes. I had not watched the show previously to doing the first episode of season 5, but I heard a lot about it because I am part of a worship group and they love Cobra Kai, so the men would always talk about it. So I heard about it. I knew it was on there, and then I filmed. I went to Atlanta and filmed the first episode, and then after I filmed that, I watched all 3 seasons that were out at the time. But I went to Atlanta. It was super cold, and I didn't realize it was gonna be cold. I was freezing in the morning, and I had this very skimpy dress, which was beautiful, but I was just freezing, so they had to get this big coat for me. The whole experience was really surreal. I loved it, but I had my own trailer, which was the first time that that happened. And they go and they do makeup on you, and then they give you the sides, and they tell you, okay, this is the scene that we're doing. You get to meet the cast and crew, and then you film and you get directions, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. I forget that because I'm sure it was cold earlier in the year as well because that's still, part of winter. And so you guys were there towards the end of fall. Well, yeah, well, fall, winter ish. I
Like
guess
almost.
middle fall. But either way, we've heard stories about like, oh, well, this one episode we filmed, it was supposed to be like summer. We had to pretend we were hot even though we were freezing cold. So I totally get that. And so in Atlanta, and Luis Roberto Guzman, who plays, I'm kind of, is he supposed to be the boyfriend or husband?
It doesn't ever say. I'm assuming he's my boyfriend because he almost married once. Remember, like he almost
That's
married
right.
once.
Okay.
He's my man. What we
Okay.
are.
Yeah. Okay. That's all it is. He's your man, and you're his only one right now. So did you guys get a chance to kind of meet and discuss kind of like your relationship before filming?
We did not. Um, we met right on at set. We hugged, we talked. I said, I'm your woman, you're my man. And then we did this big family scene where we're eating dinner, and so we got to talk and kind of it was nice that that was our first meetup. Because then the first episode, um, when we filmed the second time, we kissed. So it was nice to have already met him and get a little bit comfortable.
Right. And for you as an actor, did you kind of develop any backstory for yourself or even in your mind how you two met, your characters met?
I did not. I actually, you're supposed to sometimes, but at the moment, it didn't feel like I needed to. I just knew that this was the person that I loved and my child, and I was very grateful at that moment to be with this group of people. So I just kind of let those feelings emote for me.
Now, with season 5 out, having seen it and kind of knowing a little bit more of his character from a viewer standpoint, um, have you then gone back and thought about like how did Maria possibly have met Hector, knowing kind of his backstory now?
Yes, I did, but there's certain things I wish would happen with this show in the future. So mine are just very not real in the sense that I'm like, she's a CIA agent, she's undercover. That's how she's in this situation, and she's going to bring him down some way, somehow. So it's just me being silly.
I kind of like that.
If they bring me back, I hope it's that.
Yeah, that would be um with season 5, so many things happened where you're like, things happened that we've never seen before, in a Cobra Kai, episode, like a severed finger, like all these type of
Violent.
like yeah, just the violence, but also like what is going on is what I was questioning. Like my first viewing of that season, I'm just like, well, what is going on? There's just so many things I hadn't seen before, but I can't even say like it would be or not be on brand for like someone like Hector to show up, and then all of a sudden his g girlfriend is a CIA agent that's, like, helping to bring him down, like, that I would believe that. I'd be like I wouldn't feel that would be out of place at this point, you know?
It'd be cool to see because I know they're doing the world championship. Well, I don't know. They're supposedly going. It'd be cool to see where it's gonna go. Is it going to be filmed in South Korea? Could it take place in Mexico and Hector comes back and then you see us? It would be fun to see it develop that way.
See, so it almost sounds like you feel that the Mexico storyline isn't quite over, like, I kinda feel that way too, like, I don't think we saw the end of Hector.
Yeah. Which maybe is genius. Like they only just gave us a little bit, and maybe next season they'll give us more. And it'll be crazy. Hector, will be this very, very big villain in the season.
Right, I mean, it could be because, like, we felt like the, season 4 set it up really big, and then because I was surprised. I was like, "Oh, that's it? They wrapped up the Mexico storyline in 2 episodes, and there's a few mentions in episode 3." So, yeah, I felt like there's gotta be more, so I hope there's more also, love to see you guys back. So, so we, talked a little bit about Hector, but, Maria also has a little boy, named Luis, played by EJ Sanchez, who I recently interviewed. Can you talk about, like, meeting EJ and Tiffany for the first time and what it was like working with EJ?
They're super sweet. I want to say that first off. They also found out the day before. And so we all met up in Atlanta. I got to meet him and talk to him a little bit before we started filming. And Tiff, she's so sweet. She's so nice. And she was taking pictures. And they're really a joy to be around. We were on set for a really long time. So I got to share a lot of time with them. And I'm glad we got to film Puerto Rico together. We spent most of the time together after filming, so they're great.
Now, you mentioned about, meeting the cast. EJ has shared, meeting well, because, he shared a few sequences with Sholo. Did you get a chance to speak with Sholo or Tanner or Billy in either locations?
So I got to talk to Sholo on both times that we were filming. He was also very nice when we weren't filming. We were all together in a room, so we got to talk to each other. He told me a lot about his podcast that he was doing at the time, and but very sweet. But mostly everyone sticks to themselves usually, and you don't want to bother the other artists, especially when you have to be in a certain feeling. So, I try to keep to myself most of the time, but the time we did talk, it was very nice.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, he started that podcast, like, after he's been on this show, so I don't know if he was like, "Hey, this is fun, and so now I have competition." No, I'm totally kidding. I'm kinda waiting for my invite, but, yeah, they don't do guests. But,
Put it
yeah,
out
I
there.
yeah, well, I feel their podcast Instagram account, they have said, like, "Hey, well, what should we" like, they have kinda, solicited, like, episode ideas kinda thing, and I was like, "How about bringing me on?" Because I know, no one's ever gonna see it, but I'm just kinda, like, humoring them kinda thing, like, "Oh, you guys are trying to compete now?" Yeah, I think I might have even, thrown jabs like, "Oh, well, Martin Cove has had me on his podcast. When are you guys gonna have me on yours?" Kinda thing. But, Jacob's the only I haven't, spoken with Shola since he's been on the show, so it's been a couple years, but, I saw Jacob just this last April, in California at Paley Fest when I got to cover, the red carpet for the show. So, yeah, maybe one day. I think I would be an odd guest because I feel like a lot of their listeners probably don't even like or are familiar with what we do here. Just because I honestly like I don't listen to the show because I've kind of heard like what it is, and I don't want my opinion about them as professionals to kind of change, to know more about them on a personal level. And so, yeah, I feel I might be a weird guest, but it's kind of interesting if they ever extend an invite.
I don't think weird. I think if people do follow Cobra Kai, they also know about you and all the other people that get to talk about them and stuff. So
Oh,
it
that's
wouldn't be weird.
sweet. Yeah, yeah. What were something you can share from the set filming with EJ, because we do see Maria and Luis running around the house at one point, and you guys are also playing in the backyard. EJ shared how he no longer likes rice because he had to eat it so much, but also he had to run around the house 100 times.
Yeah, we had to run around the house so many times, and then we have to stand by these big pillars and wait for them to cue us in. And they'd cue us in, and we start running, and then they didn't like the timing, so we just kept having to do it over and over again. And the rice, though, was good. It was cold, so it's not like you're really enjoying it. You have to fake it, and not move the plate too much, not move the food too much, because you have to keep doing the sequences over and over and over again. Um, and then we have to also fake laugh. And you're like, okay, please laugh right now. And then you're like, ah, you know, the world of acting is not as fun sometimes. You just gotta like fake everything.
I didn't even think about the rice getting cold. That actually makes a lot more sense, especially for like a child, who's probably used to like, warm to hot rice. I can see that. Like, as a girl, like I don't mind it as much if I'm eating it with something that's probably hot. But yeah, if it's cold rice, and also you probably have to be, kind of be mindful of like continuity too, right? So like, you can't eat too much. Do you know if
Right.
they actually had more rice like
They,
available in the?
yeah, they would fill it every once in a while to make it look more full. And then you also have to be mindful that when you're eating, you might get food stuck in your mouth, and like you're not you can't see yourself in a mirror or anything, so you don't know if you got something in there. So I try to eat very delicately.
What do you remember from filming in the town, like the markets and stuff like that? Because EJ shared like what was it, he had cotton candy, then all of a sudden just made it onto the show because it wasn't actually scripted that way, that he's walking around with cotton candy.
So we had to obviously shop at the market, which I didn't have a purse or anything. We didn't pay for anything. We just
Maybe
sold
you guys
cotton
don't,
candy.
you don't even need to pay, like you're walking around with Hector, but apparently everything's free.
Exactly. So we had to fake shop. So at one point, just grab a cotton candy that seemed realistic, and it just stayed. And at one point, we were at another stand, and someone gave me corn. So I was just walking around with corn that I couldn't eat because it was fake. I wanted to fake like I was eating it, but then you wouldn't see that I was actually eating it. So it's just like, let me hold it.
Oh, that is so funny. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that too. Now, were they? I guess the people working in the market are those like an actual? Were those like just real people at a real market, or was that all kind of staged?
I think that was all staged. There was a bunch of extras there that got to be a part of it and got to meet them. They were really excited to be there and getting to see that scene. They're very nice.
Also, so do you know if like handing you the corn was intentional or?
No, so they would tell us to stop at certain spots. Hey, can you stop here? We want to get a shot of you here. So we always ended up stopping at the corn. What I call it, like the stand, and someone would hand me the corn, but it was not written in. It was just, what else are you gonna do?
Right,
So
right, yeah. Oh, that would have been really interesting. Like, well, hold on now. She's not even eating the corn. Like, what's going on here? Yeah.
I want like mayo and I want cheese and I want like spice on it, like to really enjoy it. But they didn't have any of that, so it's just like you gotta get plain.
Oh, yeah. I can go for some of that right now. I love Mexican food. Too bad EJ didn't share some cotton candy with you. That would have been
Ooh,
nice.
yeah,
Unless no, he didn't do it.
no, we didn't. We
You
didn't
can
open
go.
it at all. I don't remember. They had different
Yeah.
flavors.
Well, it was probably best not to open it because then again, like since that wasn't supposed to be part of the, the walking sequence there, then, you would probably have to refill that if DJ just kept on eating the cotton candy.
That's true. That's true for continuity's sake. And then
Yeah.
who knows how old that cotton candy is?
Oh,
Is it even
right. Right, right, yeah, if that was I didn't even think about that either. See, yeah, the things you learned, I actually thought that was, like, a real place. I was like, "Hey, we're just gonna film here, and this is just what we're gonna do, just gonna hit these beats," so it was actually all stage. Very interesting. See the amount of work.
go to like a park that was just converted to this?
Oh, wow, see, the production crew, they're really amazing at what they do. What working, with Steven and, Joelle, can you kinda talk about, like, working with them and the differences in their directing styles?
I don't think they were different with me. Steven, he was very nice. I only got to work with him one day very quickly because our scenes, he didn't deal with us as much as he did with Miguel and Hector. But he was also very nice, and his directions were really quick. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And then he'd be off and doing his thing. But he was very nice. Joel was also really nice too. I got more direction with him actually because when I was working with Joel, that's when I have to go scream Luis and uh, but always very kind. We changed up a little bit of the wording uh, that we had with Maria. So talking to him really about our accents as well because I'm Puerto Rican and Maria's Mexican and that the accent is different. So I had to try to work a little bit harder to change it up a little bit so it's not as Puerto Rican as
I'm just
mine.
glad. Yeah, no, absolutely, like, having, my Asian background, right? Like we have all different types of ethnicities in the Hispanic community. There's different, languages and dialects. Same thing with Asians. And so, like, I appreciate nobody's like, you know what? No one's gonna tell the difference, right? Like nobody's doing that. Like everyone's kind of doing their due diligence. Representation matters. You want to at least, sound and look authentic. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, I really love speaking with Joel. He's like a big fan of like the show, and then when I spoke with him, he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I've listened to the podcast." I'm like, "Oh really? Well, thanks. Wow," because like it was my first time meeting him. Um, Now we understand that well, EJ, had to do a little stunt for his scene, and can you kind of talking about that? And what was Maria thinking, not keeping him in front of her?
So it's funny because we actually had to redo that scene a lot, um, just because of the all the different angles that they wanted to get the scene in, um, and they were very careful to do it in a way that EJ would always be safe. So the car looks like it's going forward, but in fact, most of the time it was going backwards in the scene. So you would still see it, but it would kind of go away, so he wouldn't get hit. And then the scenes where he's going forward, he was already out of the way. So we they always wanted to keep him safe, and it was really fun to be able to watch it kind of happen the way they did. They're really smart. I would say that I really had to get into this my mom mode, which most of the time I am in, but just to be super scared and seeing my kid about to get hit, I really had to like get in there and really like scream with angst, like my kid's about to get hit, and then be super grateful when he gets saved.
So, having to do the scenes over and over, are you having to scream each time as well?
Yes, every time.
Did
I had to
your
scream a
did
lot.
your throat get sore by the end of the day?
You know what? No, actually, I don't think so. Thankfully, I didn't get sore. I'm sore
'Cause
now because but
well, you're a trained singer too, so you're probably used to that, all
you know,
the,
I had
conditioning.
some vocal warm ups.
Right, yeah. Well, let's, as we, kinda get ready to wrap up, let's talk about, you mentioned vocal warm-ups. You, mentioned earlier that you're part of this, worship group, and, I've seen some of your stories where you're holding the mic and singing.
Yeah.
It looks like like a concert. It looks like a lot of fun. Are you able to share what that's about?
So I'm a believer. I go to church on Sundays and Saturdays. But I'm part of the worship team at my church. So we're there like 3 times a week, rehearsing, and then we have services Saturday and Sunday, and we do a whole set. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, but I get very nervous doing it. But because I don't like singing aside from that, because I get nervous. So I get to do it, and I kind of like get to be creative. It's just one of my outlets, and I really love it. I love the people that I worship with. They're super kind.
Do you think the nervousness comes from like performing in front of a live audience?
Yeah, performing in front of people, and I've always been that way. Get my stomach turns, just that feeling of just the nerves kind of overwhelms me. So it's really, you have to really mentally prepare. I do, anyways, to do it.
Yeah, I mean, just keep telling yourself, I'm Elvia from the block. You know, you can do this.
My alter ego, Elvia from the block.
Yeah, little shameless plug. I also host a movie podcast called Podstalgic. A few years ago, God, what was it? 2017? I kind of forget at this point, but I reviewed Selena, and my two guests were these Latinas from they no longer host the show, but they used to host a true crime podcast with some comedy because it's just such heavy topics. It was called Once Upon. No, hold on. Uh, oh my goodness, I forgot what it was called because
Mm,
they've ended their show. It's about damn crime.
okay.
It's about damn crime. They joined me and we had a lot of fun and we were kind of bagging on Abraham a little bit, the dad. It's like, I kind of forgot we forgot what we were saying about him, but the movie. We felt like the movie was great, but we felt like it could have been so much better because we know that Abraham served as like consultant and all these things. It's like, but how true was this story? Because if her dad was serving as consultant, there's probably a image that he wants to keep Selena in and all of these things. So we do wonder if there were things that they were kind of holding back to tell like the actual story kind of thing. So for those that are interested in the Selena's life and whatnot, we talk about it and had a lot of fun. But we just
Yeah.
kept on going, Abraham, is this your doing? Like that type of stuff. But anyway, you mentioned the project that you just wrapped. Are you able to kind of give a little insight, or do you have any knowledge of when we can expect that?
So, Nacho Bueno was fantastic, by the way. It had a lot of awesome cast and crew. I believe they want it to be done next year, summertime. And they want to submit it to a bunch of film festivals everywhere. And I think it's a beautiful story. It's it's Latino Christmas basically. Noche Buena, and we celebrate the 24th. And it's like a big Puerto Rican film, and it's exciting to be part of those kind of projects because you don't see them happen often. And we're hoping that it does great things out there and it gets bought out and more people get to see it because we need those stories. We don't often get to see that on TV.
No, no, not at all. Yeah, for those that follow me on social media, I share just about everything I see. So yeah, hopefully I get to talk with Rose and then maybe maybe she can share some things about filming that project as well. Is that anything else going on for you that you're able to kind of promote? People can see. I know that there's a film on HBO Max,
Yeah.
Come.
Me eat. Yes, definitely
Yeah.
check that out. It's a short film I did also with another Puerto Rican cast, and it's about this young girl who wants to have a like normal American Thanksgiving because she's almost embarrassed. She moves from Puerto Rico to America, and so she sees how other American kids celebrate, and she wants that. But she ends up finding that staying true to her roots is really important, and finding the love of her culture is great. So That's on HBO Max. And then I did Nobody Will Believe You on Lifetime. And then I have a film scheduled for next year in Texas that I'm excited about. But yeah,
There you go. Exciting stuff. I was born in Texas, so again, I follow you, so I'll keep an eye on everything you do. So there we are, Elvia. If you welcome the interactions, where can people find you on social media?
they can find me on IG at it's Elvia Hill.
All right. And for me, if you guys don't already follow me on social media, I am on Twitter at Cobra Kai Pod, pretty active there, and also on Instagram at Cobra Kai Companion, Companion with a K. Check out the website, bookmark it. If you guys like the interviews, all the interviews get put up there. At this point, I feel 126 interviews, so plenty of interviews for you guys to go back and check out while we're waiting on season six. At this point, they haven't announced it yet. Maybe Maria will be back and she's a CIA agent. Who knows? Let's put that out into the internet. That would be amazing. Maybe we could do like a crossover like Bad Boys, like maybe your character is that police officer from Miami, you know, and Joe Pantoliano will show up for reason. Oh no, didn't his character die? Yeah, sadly. Yeah. What a way to end the episode. But anyway, thanks you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.